welcome back to another exciting episode on the show. And you guys know I only bring the best of guests to the show. And once again, today we have a very special guest. Our guest today is Alison Meredith, a home educating mother of seven, author and educator with more than 30 years of teaching experience. Before motherhood, Alison was a high school math teacher and received a leadership award from the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. Today, she uses that experience to help parents and teachers tackle one of the biggest obstacles standing between children and mathematics, the belief that they simply aren't good at it. Her story brings together education, parenting, faith, resilience, and the belief that children can thrive when we meet them with patience, creativity, and encouragement. Alison, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here, Dominic. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed that introduction.
Yes, I'm honored to be here. I've had a wonderful life so far. I'm very thankful, and I love helping other teachers and helping other parents figure out the adventure of training up kids in the way they should go and teaching teenagers and all of it. I love to help.
Okay, thank you so much. So I have some questions here for you, and I would like us to get into them.
Sounds
Okay,
great. What's your first question?
let's start with the phrase every math teacher dreads. I hate maths, I hate maths. What should a parent or teacher say when a child says they hate math?
That that is a great question. What should a parent or teacher say when they hear a kid say, I hate math? That's a good moment for the teacher to say, okay, let's take a break. Let's just take a break and think about something else and then come back to it a little later and say, please help me understand. That's the four magic words. Please help me understand. Why do you say that you hate math? What is frustrating to you about it? Please help me understand. That is just a far better way in all situations to ask a question to get someone to talk. Please help me understand why, blah, blah, blah. Instead of asking a question that indicates you're assuming why the kid doesn't like math. So that's my first thought is when you hear that I hate math statement, switch the topic. Say, you know what? I think it's if it's in the middle of math lesson, say, well, it's time for a little break. If you're a home educator, let the kid run around the house a few times and then come back to him. Now, obviously, things are going to be different if your little kid starts to say, I hate math every day. That's a separate conversation. But if it's just a sudden random comment, definitely take a quick break and then ask questions to help you understand why they said that.
Okay, thank you. So, why do you think so many children develop a negative relationship with math in the first place?
Another great question. So many kids have had negative experiences with teachers over math and with books over math. Math is definitely, as so many things are, math is a kind of subject which is kind of easy for a small percentage of kids, but rather challenging for most kids. They don't think naturally of the mathematical thinking that enables them to do math. They need to be taught how to think mathematically. They need to be taught how to apply critical thinking skills. And the reason that so many of them say they hate math or they have a negative experience is too many teachers are just saying, yeah, let's get math out of the way. Oh, yeah, I don't really like math either. Let's just get this out of the way. And too many books, math books that the kid has to do this math book is just lots of work with not enough explanation. Now, I said there are some great math books out there as well. But when a kid doesn't like math, the solution is not to just give him another workbook. There are solutions. That's not one of them.
Okay, so what are the solutions?
Great question. So I think that helping kids understand why we learn math is a key to any solution. And the best explanation I have ever used in my long career of helping kids and teenagers learn math is to say, let's do an analogy. Kids, I want you to think about a sports team and then let the teenagers tell you if they want to talk about soccer or football or tennis or whatever that sport is. And let them tell you about the sport and how the best athletes train to be successful in that sport. Then ask your students, okay, do you have to lift weights? in your preparation to excel at this sport? Well, yeah, in most any physical sport, weightlifting is part of training. But that's not because you're going to lift weights in the middle of the game, right? Just imagine a football player running toward the touchdown line and weightlifting in his other hand, holding the football with one hand, weightlifting with his other hand. No, I hope that makes you laugh. I hope it makes your students laugh as you realize that's not why. So, why do you lift weights? Because it makes their muscles better able to succeed in their sport. And with that analogy, sell your students on the reality that math is mental weightlifting. Learning math is like lifting weights physically, but it's mentally. Math is like mental weightlifting, and learning math and excelling in math, it will help you succeed in whatever career you choose. You don't have to become an engineer or another math focused career. But actually, even if you're an artist, learning math will be mental weightlifting, and that will help you succeed in any career. So help the kids understand that, and that can become a little chant in your home or your classroom. Math is mental weightlifting. Yeah, math. Weightlifting's boring, not always fun, but it's important.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's talk about your book. Your book is called I Hate Maths. What inspired you to write the book, and what do you want parents to do differently after reading it?
I was inspired to write this book after decades of seeing how many young students and teenagers, and even teachers and parents, just don't like math. And they begin to, the teachers and parents especially, they begin to offload that perspective onto these young students. It's often not intentional. Often I will see or hear a teacher or a parent say, I don't really like math. It's just my least favorite thing. But hopefully my students will. No, if you're communicating to your students, if they realize that you don't like math, they're going to pick up on that attitude. They are not going to want to work hard and figure it out. So I wrote this book to help teachers and parents understand mindset is so important. Having that growth mindset that Carol Dweck talks about, realizing that math is mental weightlifting. Those are important foundations to help kids learn math and succeed in math and therefore be more successful in life. So the book addresses those mindset issues and then it gives some practical advice on some resources to use, many of which are inexpensive or free, and some conversations to have with your students to help them not be afraid of math. Did that answer your question, or do you have more questions?
Yeah, I don't think I want to go so deep into the book. I guess they should go and get the book.
Yeah, go get the book. It's called I Hate Math. That's the first three words of the title. And my name is Allison Meredith. So if you look on Amazon or elsewhere, Allison Meredith, I Hate Math, the book should come up.
Okay, Alison, so you homeschooled 7 children. How do you manage teaching children at different ages and ability levels under the same roof?
Great question. It is very difficult. I will acknowledge that. So here's what I want to say as an introduction to that question. Being a home educating parent is not for everyone. It is difficult. It is unique to each family, and it is going to humble you. It is going to bring you face to face with your own need to apologize and figure out life one mistake at a time. Now, having said all that as disclaimers, it may not be for you. Let me say home education might be for you. It is a gloriously fun adventure that helps kids succeed. How do you, as Dominic just asked, how do you manage teaching in the same moment a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old and yeah, I did that. Well, let me tell you, it was not because I was talking one-on-one with all 7 kids at the same time. Of course not, to say the obvious. But we did do some subjects all together. There are some excellent history curriculums, for example, where you can, as a mom, you can just read that history story out loud, and then the kids are coloring maps. Kids of any age can color those maps. And then after the read aloud, the mom is given discussion questions to guide the discussion on that. So That's just an example of how some subjects you actually can do with multiple ages. Then you can give that 12-year-old a writing assignment, and the 3-year-old just throw away the paper he scribbled on. You got to be flexible. Um, with things like math, I obviously they are not going to be having the same lesson, but you can do the same memory work. All the kids need to know as they grow up, they need to say 5 plus 3 is 8 without going, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. They need to actually have those basic facts just memorized. So they just know 4 plus 2 is 6, 5 plus 3 is 8. They need to just know that. And the mathworksheetsite.com is a great place to challenge kids with a 5 minute drill. They could all take their 5 minute test together just as a challenge. It's okay if they don't get them all right, but they want to do a little better. You want them and they want themselves to do a little better every day. So, Dominic, I could teach a class for 40 hours or more on how to home educate a lot of kids at once. But it's a complicated question. I don't want to spend too much time here other than to say those examples of some comments about math memory work and some comments about history. And then the general idea that, it may not be for you, but if you want to do this home education adventure, you can figure it out. There are great resources out there. In fact, I myself just started more coaching, which I've been doing for years, but I have my AllisonMeredith.com website where you can learn about how I and others can help you with coaching you to do well in the home education adventure.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, looking back, I know you had a difficult season where you had near-death medical crisis involving your husband. So, what was that season like for you and your children?
Right. 15 years ago, soon after my seventh baby showed up in the world, and we were just rejoicing over his cuteness. But when he was just a few months old, my husband nearly died unexpectedly. He had a ruptured aneurysm, which in many cases just results in death before the ambulance even gets them to the hospital. Now, of course, when I called 911, I did not know that he had a ruptured aneurysm. I just knew that he was in pain and he passed out. So it was an adventure from then forward. Here's where I have to just mention, Dominic, that that God was holding on to me. I am a Christian, and so um, a lot of times I get asked, "How did you hold on to your faith during such a difficult time?" And I have to say, well, my faith was holding on to me. It was not what I expected to be able to say, but that is truly what it what it felt like as an experience and what was happening. God was very faithful. I was very encouraged by the famous phrase, God is not surprised. I was very surprised that my healthy husband, who did athletic competitions even, was suddenly passed out, and the doctors were saying he probably wasn't going to make it. Um, but I was comforted by the realization that God was not surprised, even though I was. So he did make it miraculously. I had more than one doctor use the word miraculously. He's still here. Um, but because of his massive blood loss and strokes, he had to go through lots of therapy to regain his ability to talk and walk and things like that. He was actually transferred out of town to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta, Georgia, which is an outstanding place for young people to get um, needed therapy. So what am I supposed to do when my husband is thankfully getting to be transferred out of town for 3 months to have outstanding therapy? Do I just stay here with my kids and try to keep teaching them while we meet, meet every day, but we miss the dad? Well, no, I decided based on some questions to some friends, I did ask for advice, but then decided, yeah, I'm gonna go down there because sure enough, the Shepherd Center had a place where families of patients could stay at very low cost, and so we just did the adventure of home educating out of town. Lots of field trips when we had to drive 10 places sometimes, and so we would go to different libraries and museums. It was definitely not expected, but how did I home educate them? I decided to help them experience the reality that life is full of surprises. But God is faithful. He's not surprised. And we can still learn. A lot of home education is giving those students a love of learning because I have a love of learning and I'm passing that on to them. So we did a lot of fun experiences like that. We also did some workbooks sometimes. I'm not 100% against those, but just going to a museum and walking through it and talking about it, or going to a library and letting the kids choose books and read them. Those are fantastic ways to help kids learn to love learning.
Okay, Alison, thank you so much. So, moving on, if a parent listening today has a child who genuinely believes I'm just not a math person, what's the first thing you would tell them?
So, are you suggesting if a home educating parent says this, or it's just if any parent, maybe in public or private schools with their kids, says this?
If any parents,
Any parents, right? So, I think it is good for the parent to acknowledge that. That is great that the parent is aware. I'm just not good at math. Okay. I'm not saying I agree that the parent is just not good at math. I'm saying it's wonderfully humble of the parent to just call a spade, as the saying goes. Just admit, this is my attitude. Then the parent needs to call a friend. That's my advice. Call a friend and say, all right, I'm having this issue. I really don't like math, but I don't want my kids, John and Susan, to not like math. So what should I do? Now, when you call that friend, what you're wanting is to have a friend say something like, I think you need to fake it, friend. I think you need to fake it. That is not saying you need to lie, okay? But if you mentally, as a parent, if you realize I don't want my kids to dislike math as much as I do, and in fact, I want myself to not dislike math as much as I do, then there's a famous phrase, pretending is becoming. Pretending is becoming. A more negative way to say it is fake it till you make it. And that implies you're being dishonest. No, you are logically saying, maybe I heard what Allison Meredith said about math is mental weightlifting, and that makes sense. And I want my kids to have those critical thinking skills that will help them in all areas of life. So I'm going to pretend to like math. That's what I would tell the parents. Now, I already mentioned one of my favorite resources, which is the mathworksheetsite.com. You just spell THEMATH, the mathworksheetsite.com. And it's a low cost website. In fact, there's some free resources that are great too. And the mom could even have the humility to just go there and say, oh, look here. Here's a 5-minute challenge for addition facts. I wonder how I will do. Just be willing to be humbled. And the mom could take that 5-minute drill with the kid. Just set the timer for 5 minutes and see how many addition facts you can write down. It's just a one pager that prints 100 problems like what's 8 plus 3, what's 5 plus 2, what's 3 plus 4, and you just write down 7 under 3 plus 4. I mean, you, you don't have to work that hard. It's okay if you're not fast enough as the mom. It's even exciting. If your little students, John or Susan, beat you in time, let them beat you. And if you beat them, you can say, wow, I'm surprised. I didn't think I liked math enough. Let's try this again. Oh, you got, you know, you got 60 problems done instead. That's no problem. I wonder if we do this again tomorrow, maybe you can get more done. That's just one example. There are lots of examples of things you could do with your kid to become less hateful of math yourself. So again, that's my big idea. When the parents admit they don't like math or they're not good at math or whatever, be willing to learn, have that growth mindset, and be willing to learn alongside your kid.
okay, thank you so much. This has been a very, very exciting episode so far. Thank you for joining us. You have shown us that education isn't simply about teaching facts, it's about creating curiosity, building confidence, and helping children discover that they are capable of more than they may believe. And your story reminds us that whether we are teaching, the story reminds us that whether we are teaching a child math or walking a family through a crisis, patience, faith, creativity, and resilience can make all the difference. So before you go, once again, how can listeners connect with you, learn more about what you do, and get your book?
Sure. So if you go to AlisonMeredith.com. That's one L in Allison. So it's ALISONMEREDITH.com. If you go to AlisonMeredith.com, there's a link there that will just take you to Amazon to buy my book. And there's a way you can reach out to me and ask me more information about the little club I started that helps coach home educating parents. Also, on the AlisonMeredith.com page, there's a link to piedayparty.org, which is a nonprofit that I run to equip more people to have a fun party in March. March, any day in March is a great day to have a Pi Day party, which is just a way to make math more fun.
Right, Alison, thank you so much. Once again, this has been so wonderful. I really appreciate you taking out your time to be here. And to my audience, thank you all so much for joining us today. And if this episode is speaking to you, most of us, we all hate math. A good number of us we don't like math. And to be honest, when I was in school, I thought I loved math until math became different. I started seeing different math going higher, going higher. I started seeing calculus, started seeing differentiation, and I was like, this is not the type of math I used to like. So a lot of us who don't like math. So try and share this episode to someone out there who might need to stop hating math. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you, Alison.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.